Okay, so yeah, Drew Steele, Showtime, changing. My routine, changing. It needed to change anyway. There is something I haven't really discussed. And it's to do with, mostly to do with the tremor. It does affect the vestibular stuff as well. And basically, I use alcohol. I have done for, well, if the tremors became a symptom for me in 2015 going into 2016, 2016, I noticed around that time that, yeah, a small amount of alcohol actually eases them. Because otherwise I've basically got tremors all the time. The propranolol works to take, it reduces them to the point where they're not massively visible and stuff. But you can tell even when I've had my tablets and that, you can hear it in my voice. And like my enunciation was never really great anyway. But now because with the tremors and that, and then now that I'm doing these videos, I can tell the difference. I mean, if I've had too much to drink, then obviously I get a bit slurry and that. And then sometimes, so it's like funny when I listen to Kamala and stuff, and I think, well, I sound like that. I sound like that a lot of the time. Like Susan Collins as well. RFK Jr., well, obviously, his voice was a lot worse than mine, but that was he's got a different issue, I think. But it's just that they're there. So one of the things I do is I use alcohol. And then that causes a lot of concern for the people around me, because then it's easy for them to say, oh, well, your issues are caused by alcohol, because if you're going through alcohol withdrawal, that causes tremors as well. You get, I think it's called tremens, delirium tremens, something like that. Quite serious. You can die if you do alcohol withdrawal, immediate cold turkey, and your body can go into shock and you can die. So you should always consult a doctor before making any serious life changes. I used to talk about it. I used to want to be understood a lot. I don't care so much anymore. Anyway, let this woman tell you for a little while, I'll shut up.
Everyone, good evening. Welcome to I Care for Your Brain with board-certified neuropsychologist Dr. Karen Sullivan. That's me. Every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, we try to meet here for science-based education and empowerment. Tonight we are going to be returning to essential tremor, and tonight's focus is going to be on the relationship to alcohol. I think this is my 5th lecture on essential tremor, and I want you all to know how much I truly enjoy researching these topics. I really appreciate how much love and support you all have shown me as a community. It is really become one of my most beloved brain health challenges, because there's so little information out there, and it really exemplifies my whole mission, which is to reduce the unnecessary suffering that goes along with brain health challenges that comes from simply not knowing enough, not having good enough quality information, and not having your symptoms validated. I can't even imagine how maddening that would be to have a syndrome where only one aspect of the disease or the disorder was visible, noticeable to other people, and people simply thought that was the total story, that was my total experience. Well, we know with everything that unfortunately isn't working well in the brain, that there's many more things that happen cognitively and there's many more things that happen emotionally. So ET to me has really become this quintessential brain health challenge that really exemplifies those things. So just to take a general step back, I know a lot of you are watching who have ET and you don't need me to go through all these statistics, but I always like to kind of start at a basic level and build up. ET is the most common movement disorder worldwide. We have 10 million of you out there who are living in this brain every day, but yet so little beyond that tremor is known. So little is under-researched in the literature. So little is undervalued by most medical providers. And therefore, we have a whole lot of ET that is undertreated. And I think you will join with me in agreeing that this is unacceptable. We have about 20 different subtypes of tremor, and that even within a subtype, you can have more subtypes. So a tremor can happen in hands, head, the middle of the body, your voice, your legs, really anywhere in the body. All too often, people with tremor are simply put into the category of having tremor, okay? About 30 to 50% of you with ET have been on a diagnostic journey before you actually settled on ET problems.
Okay. Well, my ET is related to my MS, and it started in 2016, and I think they were just more... I don't have a lot of lesions. My MS is quite mild, but it affected my cerebellum. So, and that's like when you... So if you get damage there, that's like primary, well, whatever. I'm not going to pretend I'm not a neurologist. I put the details up here so you can see. But basically, she does get to the point of talking about medication. I am on propranolol, which, yes, is a beta blocker. So people think, oh, so it's because yeah, there you go, beta blockers. So people say, oh, it's because your anxiety, because they think because my voice shakes, it makes them, oh, you're anxious, you don't need to be anxious. I'm not anxious, I've got tremor. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not anxious, but benzodiazepines, I was on them in Cyprus, they work, but the risk of abuse and addiction or whatever, NHS doesn't prescribe them anymore, or not easily anyway. So fine. I'm not saying I give up. I'm not giving up. But yeah, I use alcohol. She will get to the point somewhere. I mean, alcoholism. It just keeps. Are these just repeating? These aren't her. This is her. There is a bit where she goes through this and she talks about like different, because obviously it depends the cause of your. Well, I've got lesions in my brain, and the lesions at this time can't be repaired. So I'm just going to have tremors, and potentially they're just going to get worse over time. So I've just got to manage them. So the propranolol at the moment, and I'd started on 80 milligrams a day, once a day, 80 milligrams, and that's gone up now. I can have 2 a day. I'm not very good at taking pills. I don't really know why. It's that whole thing. It's like, because they do so well at reducing the symptoms, sometimes I think, oh, I don't need the tablets, I'm okay. So I don't take them, and then my symptoms come back, and then it's like, oh, I do need the tablets. Oh, they actually work, that's why. So you've got to take them, even if you... Because like, that's the point, if they're working, you think you don't need them. But if you stop taking them, you realise, oh yeah, I do need them. But then also, I'm coming up to 50. if I'm going to last another 10, 15 years, those tablets are going to have to, I can't hit up the tablets early, if you know what I mean. I need them to work for as long as possible. And then the thing that gets me, I'm hoping these are timestamps. Uh-oh. But right near the end, anyway, when she goes through all this and she discusses like the different causes, and then like things that can make it worse, different types of tremor, and yeah, like, I mean, if you've got tremor or you know someone who has tremor or you're even remotely interested, but a lot of this doesn't apply to me, right? I mean, some of it does, but the point is, she gets to the point and then she says, excuse me, I'm not going to say it. I'll let her. No, but they're not timestamps, but it's right near the end, somewhere around
20 years of pretty heavy drinking to result in brain damage. Okay, so I always use that with my patients. If you drank 3 or more drinks on average per day for about 20 years, you will get cerebellar damage. Now, why is that important to you? Smarty pants, you already know that. It's because you already have a risk factor for cell death in the cerebellum. So you don't need something else on top of that adding fuel to the fire, do you? I don't think so. Mixing alcohol with prescription medicine is very, very dangerous, and especially those of you out there with ET, there's 4 different medications that you're likely to be prescribed that are known to be even fatal when mixed with alcohol. So we have to talk about those. The first one are beta blockers. So this is things like propranolol.
Yeah,
alcohol, Xanax,
so
Alprazolam, and you can die in your sleep.
I have to be careful of my alcohol consumption anyway, because I am on those meds. And right.
As I was saying before, we know that we can get a mood lift after we drink. We can have a sense. Talk about other ways that we can use to positively cope. So the way alcohol has its positive effects is that it increases the effects of GABA. So here we've got the Purkinje cells that are involved with GABA, and now we know that alcohol also affects the Purkinje cells via GABA. So again, we are suppressing momentarily the central nervous system with the alcohol. That's why you get the tremor benefit. But over time, that imbalance is not healthy. So one of the things that I became interested in, this is a slight side note, all this talk about GABA really made me think about gabapentin again. I know I just mentioned that, but I was like, has anyone...
No, I appreciate that, because when I went, because I got referred for the alcohol misuse and stuff, because my family thought a lot of my issues were caused by alcohol. So I had to go to, and then I was like, well, can't you? But I didn't need gabapentin, I didn't have tremens, and then when the nurse that does the detox to all my tremors, she said, that's not alcohol-related tremors. And I haven't been drinking long enough to have, I've got multiple sclerosis, okay, let's just agree, or not agree, whatever. Okay, I use alcohol, it works, and I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people out there with essential tremor that use alcohol. And the point of this is, I do appreciate that they're actually now starting to do research into why alcohol works, because alcohol does something with GABA does something with GABA, but gabapentin doesn't work on essential tremor, but it works for alcohol-related tremors. And the GABA in the gabapentin gets absorbed by your brain differently from the way that GABA from alcohol gets. So yeah, about time. They're going to do some research and some studies into that and see if they can find a way to deliver the GABA, without the effect. So at the moment I drink Bud Light, and quite often I water it down. And I'm trying to stay under 25 units of alcohol a week. That's trying to stay. I do alcohol. The thing is, if I have to get up and move around, I will get up and up. I mean, like, it's short term and stuff like that, but I've got a list of stuff that I need to do over the weekend, and I don't know how to achieve that without relieving some of my symptoms. And if I do upload the video that I made earlier, then you'll hear it. You'll hear it in my voice, and it's not just in my voice. It's in my arms. It's in my legs. It's in my head. It's in my voice. It's in my hands. And even if you can't see it, or I can feel it, and I don't know.
In the ET community, really explored gabapentin. If too little GABA is related to ET, well, let's give gabapentin. Doesn't that kind of make sense? Well, it's not as easy as that. Gabapentin is very structurally similar to the neurotransmitter GABA. It does penetrate the blood-brain barrier, so you take it via a pill, and it actually can get into the brain, but it is not converted metabolically into GABA. So basically, there's a lot of research that shows it's about as effective as propranolol, and it has a type B level of evidence from the American Academy of Neurology and their guidelines for essential tremor. And basically, in conclusion, just enhancing GABA through a pill is probably much too easy of a solution to the ET problem. We know, yes, that Purkinje cell loss is related to ET, but it's not going to be simply fixed by just putting more GABA into the brain, unfortunately. So what should your personal relationship to alcohol be? Well, first of all, take your ET out of it and just think of yourself as a human being. And remember that alcohol affects different people differently. So I want you to think about your different factors that influence how and to what extent alcohol might be affecting your brain. So of course, how much you drink and how often you drink really matters.
So I was very grateful when I found this, because, I mean, if you can Google it, there's multiple things. A lot of people with essential tremor use alcohol. But to hear from a medical person, because obviously, like, we know we're not supposed to drink a lot of alcohol, binge drinking is bad, obviously daily alcohol use puts a strain on the rest of your body and stuff like that. But what I like about this lady is she's basically, and I'll let her say it in a minute, but she's like what she's saying right now, like, some of us are going to do it. Some of us are going to use it because it works. And in that case, what is the best medical advice that she can give you? That's the way I'm hearing this. Like, ideally, we wouldn't be using it. If there was something else available, we wouldn't be using it. So I try very much to be conscious of how much alcohol I drink. And it's not like I'm getting full down drunk every night or something like that. And like I said, I'm on Bud Light, and sometimes I even dilute it. Sainsbury's, if I order from them directly, they do a 1% alcohol, 1% lager. And that's like, because I'm not trying to get drunk, or I'm trying to reach like that first level of drunkenness where your vestibular system starts to switch off, because it's like, oh, okay, they've had a drink, so it's not going to work properly. So so that helps with the vestibular stuff. And then the tremors, I guess, because of the GABA, whatever, the tremors ease. So I'm not looking to, I just want that, like, first stage, like, have a quick pint. I'm alright, thanks, Barry. Okay, bye. Right. So this to me is like good advice, okay? Because, like, on one hand, I do drink daily and I need alcohol, right? But on the other hand, I can't tolerate alcohol anymore. Which is really funny to me. So, like my sister, my brother, when he was drinking, my brother doesn't really drink now, but, you know, my mum drinks a glass of red wine. It's too strong for me. Well, my sister, she's on like Stella and stuff, but it's too strong for me. God. I try not to drink anything over 4%. Anything over 4.5%, 4.6%, I'm pushing it. I was like, if I am an alcoholic, I'm like the most pathetic. But will you see me with a drink in my hand? Yeah, the chances are pretty much. In the morning, I do have a cup of coffee. I know I'm not supposed to have caffeine. I know, but I don't like tea. Oh, funny. So I do have normally only one coffee in the morning, sometimes two, maybe one. If I don't want to drink alcohol, I've got sparkling water or still water. I do try and have some. I've got some orange juice and some pineapple juice ready, available at the moment. So, and then again, I dilute those, mix that with water. Sometimes I will have a can in my hand, but you might also see me with a bottle of water. I might be diluting the beer as I go, and I might even just either drink the water from the bottle or fill up the can and drink. It might just be water in my can. I might just be using it as a drinking vessel. Just because I have a can in my hand doesn't mean. But yeah, I did go through this phase, right, when I first started having problems and I didn't have the right medication at that time. And I used to have to go out a lot more and do a lot more. Like I had to go out and do shopping and stuff. And people would think that, like my sister used to tell me that people would tell her, oh, I saw your sister out and about and she was drunk. But I think a lot of people don't realise, you know, I'm pretty much deaf in one ear. I've got some mild hearing loss in the other ear. So if you're calling to me, I might not hear you. I've got the vision problems, so I can pretty much guarantee I won't see you. Okay, facial recognition is not a strength of mine. And then with my walking and my balance stuff, yeah, I don't really walk in a straight line. So there was a time when it was just easier for me to. I mean, what difference does it make? People think you're drunk anyway. It's not that I had a can in my hand at that time. It's just like, oh, she looks like she's drunk. That's what people do. They make assumptions based on their knowledge, their experience, what's the most likely thing, what's the most likely answer to that situation. Oh, it's because they're drunk. Oh, they're on drugs. Oh, it's. No one's going to think, oh, it's because they've got a neurological brain condition. So. I mean, now I use my signal cane. Fuck's sake. Because it's like, what do you want to do? You want to use a walking stick or you want to have a signal cane so that people know that I'm not going to recognise you. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not going to recognise you. When I'm crossing a road, I might not see a vehicle. I might not see. Or if, you know, the pavement, yeah, I might catch my foot. Yeah, there's something I should mention as well. I'm having more issues with my legs lately with cramps, stiffness, pins and needles, like dead leg. I haven't gone as far as like drop foot and stuff like that yet. So I need to start walking more and getting more exercise in. Let's try that before I give up on walking completely. But I won't pretend. Also, in my hands and arms, a lot more pins and needles, tingling, numbness, lack of feeling. Like burns don't really bother me anymore. Can't really feel them. Where were we? Oh yeah, she's gonna get to. So my relationship with alcohol.
At what age you first began drinking? How long have you been drinking? What is your age? What is your gender? I'm going to tell you why us women are at greater risk in a minute. What's your genetic background? Do you have any family history of alcoholism? Okay, women are more vulnerable to men than for many of the physical medical consequences of alcohol. So for example, alcoholic women develop liver disease faster than men. They develop damage to the heart muscle called cardiomyopathy faster. They get peripheral neuropathy faster. And we also know that they have greater brain shrinkage than men. So this is important, right? So that becomes a risk factor. So, okay, I'm a woman. My uncle was an alcoholic. Okay, did your mother drink while she was pregnant with you? Do you have any issues in your cerebellum? Okay, well, I have essential tremor. Now we've got a new risk factor. Okay, so you have to make this decision for yourself personally, and that's part of why we're here, right? Is we want you to be able to be more educated and more informed.
Why flexibility looks so beautiful on you is because flexibility is the embodiment of youthfulness.
Like I said before, it's very important that we take age into consideration. And so the guidelines from the American Geriatric Society and the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism tell us that as we get older, we really should never be drinking more than 3 in a sitting, and we want to stay under that 7 per week. There's also very strong evidence that if you have a family history of Alzheimer's disease, that when you drink a fair amount, that you're 3 times more likely to have those Alzheimer's disease genes expressed within you. So again, that's another important thing that I want you to know. If you can't cut...
So you tell me, what do I do? Because generally at the weekends, when I don't do much at the weekends, I consider it my time off. I'm not getting hassled by, well, other than my mum, but I think that's every day at mine, But, like I said, I got to fiddle with the printer, I've got to sort out the paper, I've got stuff that I need to get. I know if I could just push through, the only way that I know to do that is by using alcohol. So if I push through and get all of these things done to the best side, my mum will find stuff, she'll still find more stuff, but like there has to come a point where they realise I can't do this anymore. But I'm completely alone with this. My medication, my symptoms, why I drink, how much I drink, just none of it. They just want to know that I'm doing what needs to be done, and then when they see me, they'll be like, oh, but you've put weight on, oh, you're not taking care of yourself, oh, why haven't you done this, oh, you should have done this quicker, you should have done that better, you should have, oh, why are you drinking, Yeah. I just feel really alone with it. I spend a good chunk of the day just trying to get myself in the right headset to do what I need to do for them, and then just push through and do it, and it's never enough. It's never enough, and it's never right anymore. It just makes me aware of everything that's changed. And that's why support groups and stuff are important, right? So you can go and share with people who might have a chance to understand, might begin to relate to